Okay, so we're going to talk about detail and dimensions today. I've opened a new SketchUp document. I chose woodworking millimeters. That's what we normally choose. Okay, and you'll see on your screen should look similar to mine. I've closed down my trays on the right-hand side. You don't have to do that. For this demonstration, I just didn't need them today. Okay, you see a blue axis line like we learned about, a green axis line, and a red axis line. Remember, blue means up and down, green means forward and back, and red means left and right. Even though on your screen it doesn't look that way, you have to remember we're working in 3D. So for dimensions today, we're going to try this. Click on your rectangle tool. Come over here and I want you to click and pull and let go to draw a rectangle. Doesn't matter the size. Now before you touch anything else, I want you to type on your keyboard 10 apostrophe, comma, 20 apostrophe, and then click enter and see what happened. Your rectangle now became 10 feet by 20 feet. If you look down at the bottom right, it has the dimensions that you typed in. You don't have to click in this box. The moment that you start drawing your rectangle, it's automatically going to apply to the whatever you are creating, okay? So let's go ahead and undo that for right now because we're going to make something a little bit more complex, all right? So now, start doing a rectangle again, click and pull. Actually, let me start that again. Click and pull and let go. Don't do anything else. I want you to type in 12 feet by 30 feet. That's 12 apostrophe, comma, 30 apostrophe, and then enter, okay? See how my box became quite a bit bigger? I'm going to zoom out using my mouse with my wheel tool, okay? And then I want to use my pan tool to pull this over so you can see it better, okay? That's the hand. So now we're going to add another box to this, another rectangle. So if I grab a rectangle tool and I come and hover over this top right corner, I'm going to wait till it says endpoint. And then I want to click and pull. That way it's connected. I'm just going to click and pull and let go. All right? Now I'm going to type in the dimensions 20 feet, comma, 10 feet. Enter. So that's 20 apostrophe, comma, 10 apostrophe, and then click enter. And this is what you should have. Now these are connected, but there's a line in the middle. So it doesn't look like one piece. So I'm going to take my eraser tool, hover over here, and you see the little dot on the eraser tool? Make sure that's hovering over the line. And if I click it, now this is one piece, okay? Now the next step that we did with building our house was the push-pull tool. So I'm going to go grab my push-pull tool, and I'm just going to pull up and let go. Don't do anything else because you want the dimension you enter to apply to what you just push-pulled. So now if I type in 10 apostrophe, that's 10 feet, and click enter, I've automatically made my house 10 feet tall, okay? So now I'm going to zoom out again so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to pan this over, and what we want to do now is create the roof line. What we're doing is we're creating some ridges so that this has two peaks because we have two corners of the house now. So if I grab my line tool and I come and find the midpoint on this section, I'll click once, and if I pull out, see how I followed the green line? But how am I going to get that exactly to the midpoint on my other section? If I take my line and do not click and come over to the midpoint on this section, don't click, I'm giving SketchUp a place where it wants to connect, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this line, my axis line. If I keep coming out, eventually what will happen is I've got a reference point that SketchUp found from the midpoint to my center. So if I click here, I can now follow through to my midpoint. So now I've got two ridges. But I can't just pull those up. I have to actually connect the rest of the roof. So I'm going to connect right here from endpoint to endpoint, and then again, endpoint to endpoint, because my corners need to be connected for a roof. All right? So now, let's go ahead and we're going to raise the roof. So we'll take our select tool, and I'm going to click one of my ridge lines, and then I'm going to hold the Shift key down on my keyboard, and I'm going to select right here on the other ridge line. All right, I don't need to select this line or this line. These lines are going to be the ones that stay downward. Okay, if you accidentally click on a box, just click again and it will deselect. Now if I go get my Move tool, I can pull up, paying attention to my blue axis line. If I stop, typically the words on blue axis should show up. Okay, that's how I know that I've done it straight. Pretty cool? The next tool we want to actually talk about is the offset tool. This one comes in handy when we want to create the same shape, but maybe in a different size on something. So if I take my orbit tool, and I'm going to orbit this a little bit so that you can see a little bit better. Right here is my offset tool. If I select my offset tool, oh wait, I have to make sure that I've deselected everything else because that's important. I'm going to come over here now to my offset tool, and like with the push-pull tool, if I hover over something, it actually highlights it for me. So now it's going to pick an edge, and it's completely up to where you want to start from. Now if I click and pull outward, it's going to create the exact same shape, only a different size, and I can make it any size I want. I can also, if you look down at the bottom right-hand corner, I can put in a dimension. For this instance right now, I'm not going to put in a dimension. Remember, we picked millimeters, but a lot of times we're using feet and inches. So if I let go, it's created an exact replica of the outside of this edge of the house. So I can do things like push-pull, all right, and other sorts of things. I can pull this out. Okay, so go ahead and play around with it. Maybe even add a chimney like we learned the other day. All right, let me know how it works, and if you have any questions, please raise your hand.